Hello, everyone, and thank you very much for joining me on this channel, Adults ESL Online Learning. I'm Dr. Hernandez Smith, and this video is about the film The Woman in Red. This movie was made in the 1980s, and it's one of my favorites because it's very funny, and I grew up watching it. The Woman in Red starts with Theodore, Teddy Pierce, and he stood out on the ledge of a hotel building. He reflected on how he got there. He said that 4 weeks before that present moment, he was a happily married man who never thought or even looked at other women. But when he saw Charlotte, that all changed. She wore a red dress, dancing in the garage where he worked, and he immediately became infatuated with her. At the office, he saw Charlotte waiting in a separate cubicle. He called it, but another woman answered the phone, and Teddy did not know the woman he was talking to was not Charlotte, and he asked her to dinner. The other woman was a colleague of Teddy's. She was flattered and accepted the invitation. At lunch, Teddy pretended to be confused and asked his wife to the movies. He knew she had a study group that evening, um, but um, he asked anyway. This is his first attempt in meeting the woman in red for dinner. Dee Dee said she made arrangements for him to go to the movies with their children, and that meant he couldn't meet Charlotte that evening for dinner. He played tennis with his friends and kept asking questions about having affairs because all of them had them. Teddy asked if their wives had affairs too, and they couldn't imagine the thought of their wives cheating on them. Teddy's friend Joey received a phone call that his wife just left him and took their kids. She found out about Joey's affairs, and Joey had a breakdown, and the guys decided to cheer him up that evening. In another attempt to meet with Charlotte, Teddy instructed his friend to call him at the house and pretend to ask him to do work for the office. So Teddy is at home. He met his daughter and her boyfriend who were on their way to a David Bowie concert. He went upstairs carrying a lot of books and paperwork and files and basically made a scene about having to work through the night in front of his wife. But then he began shaving and changing his clothes to meet Charlotte, who is really his colleague. His wife, Dee Dee, notices he's acting odd, and Dee Dee instructed him to get some rest because he was acting strange. Later that night, his friends pulled a prank at a restaurant to cheer up Joey. Dee Dee and Teddy had a conversation about Joey's affairs, and she showed Teddy a gun that she kept in a drawer and explained that she was a very jealous woman and couldn't put up with any type of cheating. It scared Teddy, and when his friend called him to work, Teddy made another scene in front of his wife. The woman who picked up the phone, his colleague, she went to the restaurant but was stood up by Teddy. However, Teddy went to bed thinking he had stood up Charlotte with his wife in his arms. The next day, Teddy threw his wife's pistol in the bay. Unaware of the woman's identity, his colleague saw Teddy at work, and she keyed his car and bent his radio antenna. Teddy also learned that Charlotte rode horses, and he began to look for her at where she liked to ride. Then his colleague asked him out, and he agreed to meet her because he thought she was Charlotte. They meet at a club, but once he saw his colleague, he ran away. And she chased him and found him in the back seat of his car, hiding. She thought he was playing games with her, and she released the parking brake from the car. It rolled down the hill and crashed into cars with Teddy inside of it. Um, it is a hilarious scene. It's very funny. At work, the colleague continued to seek revenge, and she sabotaged his work and flattened his tires, but he couldn't understand why she was doing this. He doesn't understand that she's the woman that answered the phone and not Charlotte. It wasn't Charlotte. Well, then he finally saw Charlotte riding horses, and he apologized for having stood her up, but she didn't understand what he was talking about because she never spoke to him. He didn't understand but played along, and after they talked, Charlotte found an earring Teddy dropped. She went to his work and returned it. He asked her out, and she reluctantly accepted. He threw himself in front of her car, and she finally said, "Okay, yes, I'll have dinner with you." So immediately he changed his appearance to prepare for his date with Charlotte, but she had to work and asked him to meet her in another city. So Teddy prepared a fake Western Union message and picked up a basket of wine with all sorts of candies, chocolates, and goodies. When he arrived at home, he told Dee Dee he wanted a romantic evening with her. But once they began to be romantic, they were interrupted by his fake message and gave another scene. He made his flight to meet Charlotte, but was rerouted to another city instead. And Teddy felt important knowing Dee Dee and Charlotte were waiting for him in different cities. He felt he had adventure in his life. Joey and Teresa got back together and had a renewing of the vows. Teddy's friend Buddy met a young man named Eric at the party. The colleague stopped seeking revenge, and she actually wished Teddy well because she began dating another man. Teddy and his friends all had lunch at their country club when Buddy's ex boyfriend dropped Eric's bracelet into Buddy's soup. The guys all realized that Buddy was homosexual for the first time, and Teddy visited Buddy and they laughed about it like friends. That night, Teddy had a date with Charlotte, and Buddy was their chauffeur. Teddy took Charlotte to his grandmother's apartment to wish her a happy birthday as a surprise. But once they arrived, Teddy realized it was a surprise for him because the entire family was there for him, his wife, his daughters, I believe his cousin and his wife and kids. Buddy pretended Charlotte was his girlfriend. And after the party, the guys picked up Teddy and took him to meet Charlotte. Teddy thought he had blown his chance with her and that it was over. But the guys told him that Charlotte is attracted to you and she wants to meet up with you tonight. So after her work, um, they Teddy and Charlotte arrived at her hotel room and were about to become intimate, but they were interrupted by Charlotte's husband. And she rushed Teddy out onto the window ledge because he just wouldn't get dressed and leave the room. He decided he would talk to her husband like adults and explain everything. And but Charlotte was not going to have that, so she pushed him out the window, and there he stood outside on the ledge. And the news stations got a hold of this news, and they drove to the hotel and filmed Teddy standing on the hotel ledge outside, um, and thinking that he was going to jump because he was upset about something. But really, he was not too upset. He just wanted to get back inside. But once he found out that Charlotte was not going to open the window, um, he went ahead and he jumped because there was a huge net to catch him, a giant net to catch him. Dee Dee did see the news, and she recognized Teddy, and she realized that he was cheating. These are my questions. Number one, when does a pleasurable fantasy turn into painful anxiety? Teddy was infatuated with Charlotte when he saw her in the parking garage. And yes, she's a gorgeous model. And for her to be dancing and doing kind of like a Marilyn Monroe moment, but in a red dress, it is hot. It is very lustful. And it's, if you find her attractive, it's beautiful. But he pursued her, and there were many moments where he could just change his energy because he is married, and he was married, and he had children. And every time he made arrangements to see this woman in red, to see Charlotte, there was always an obstacle. And that obstacle either caused him physical pain, or it caused another person pain that he was not even aware of. Um, his colleague, she had no idea that he thought she was someone else. So um, he was causing his colleague some stress, being stood up maybe, I don't know, two or three times, and then um, all for his all for his fulfilling this need to live out this fantasy of being with Charlotte. And Dee Dee didn't do anything wrong. She wasn't neglectful. She was a very attentive and loving and attractive wife. So why was that not enough? And for him to lie to her, and for him to just create these scenarios where he was lying not only to his wife, but he was in disguise in a lot of the film. So he's being very secretive, and doesn't that cause anxiety? I think that would be a trigger to cause anxiety rather than what he called adventure. The All the secrets and the lying, and not knowing, if the stress of getting caught and getting away with it. Um, when does the fantasy turn harmful into anxiety, painful anxiety? And we also see the confusion and maybe some anxiety happening with the kids, because there's these two men, these two characters, Joey and Teddy, are both fathers, and they have children. Joey has young kids, and Teddy has, teenagers or preteens, and they see their parents or their dad's lying and creating scenes to hide the truth, and then what is the truth, and the kids just become so confused. And it's sad to watch. because even though this is a comedy, and it is a very funny comedy, it is for adults. It does show um, it does show adult themes of cheating and the effects that it has on the family, especially children, and the confusion that it gives kids, and maybe that confusion can turn into anxiety. So, um, that leads me to another question, and that is, will Dee Dee take Teddy back? In the film, she was very adamant, and she even held a gun to him, saying that she doesn't tolerate any type of cheating. And I'm curious if she would take him back. I know that this character, based on the way the actress portrayed her, would do fine without Teddy's shenanigans or Teddy's tantrums. But maybe she would take him back, because women are known for, taking their partners back for this type of discretion, this type of, for cheating. So let me know what you think about The Woman in Red. Do you think Dee Dee will take Teddy back? And when does pleasurable fantasy turn into painful anxiety? I would love to hear your comments or read your comments. And if you liked this type of content, if you like this video, please hit the like button and hit the subscribe button too, for um, and the notification bell to be notified when more videos like this are uploaded. I appreciate you so much, and I hope you have a great day. Bye bye.